I am your host, Stephanie Nielsen, and I am so happy that you're here with me today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I would imagine that, like me, you like to learn and grow, and that's why you're watching the show. And I'll tell you what, so does today's guest. So today's show is going to be amazing. You know, growing up, one of my Nana's favorite quotes was, "To thy own self be true, and it must follow, as the night the day, thou cannot be false to any other man." That was a quote by Shakespeare, and I absolutely love it. I believed for a very long time that everything starts with you, that you need to be honest in who you are with yourself and with others in order to live your best life. And you know what? When you're not, you're also being unfair to those that you invite into your world. I remember for a long time that I would say something and then I would check myself and go, is that my truth? You know, just to make sure that I was being honest with myself first so that I could be honest with others. Well, today's guest shares my views around this quote, and I am so happy that he's agreed to join us on the show. Born in Rio de Janeiro, spending his childhood in California, moving to North Vancouver as a teenager, and then taking a voyage to Israel before he moved to Calgary. He knows first and foremost that no matter where you go or what you do, you always take yourself with you. So let's welcome to the show professional coach and trainer, Alex Rzepa. And we're going to talk about why connecting with ourselves first needs to be our number one priority. So yay, Alex, thank you. Hi, Alex. Welcome to the studio. Thank you so much for joining us today. How are you?
Good morning. I'm fantastic. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited that you're here. I'm so excited that you're here. I love what you are doing and what your mission is. And I don't want to spoil it for our viewers, so I want you to share what it is that you are doing. And let's just start there. Let's start by you just sharing what it is that you do, and then I'm going to ask you some questions about how you came to do that.
Sure. So around 5 years ago, I had a successful business in retail, and I had many salespeople working for me. And as you know, in sales, the number one rule is attitude and energy. And people really buy you; they don't buy the product. Well, for many years, I was working with salespeople. I was a very good salesperson, and I connected with all the staff that I trained. But since I was really young, around the age of 6 or 7, the essence of who I was always that individual that wanted to see people around me happy. I wanted to motivate, inspire, empower people. And so I struggled with lots of self-love when I was younger. And when I gained all that self-love that I was lacking my entire life, and I lived the moment and I connected with the divine, I told myself, from this moment on, I want to instill self-love in everybody around me and instill self-confidence, because at the end of the day, self-confidence is everything. So I told myself, this is my purpose, this is my mission, and it connected with the universe, it connected with the divine, and here I am today doing that.
You know what? I have to say, I absolutely love that. And it's interesting to me because, like you, I've always been a person that wants to see other people around me happy. And I struggled with self-love when I was younger as well. And I think it's interesting that it's often what we feel we are lacking that we want to give to others. And for me, where I've got my clarity and my purpose is that it is to prepare the path for others. So I feel like if I can do it, so can they. So it's interesting that we're kind of aligned there.
Love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, one of the things that it has been said is that in order to teach others, you first need to learn. So I want you to talk about your journey to self-love a little bit.
Absolutely. So what happened with me was around 5 years ago, I went through a separation. And that separation with my ex-wife was the best thing that ever happened to me. Because at the end of the day, I was existing. I wasn't living. I was living for other people. I was doing things that I thought I was supposed to do. I was living a lie, if you will. And what happened is when, my business ended and my marriage was dissolving, I really hit a rock bottom internally. And I realized that it was the universe kind of saying, live your life. You've had all these signs, you've had all these things in front of you. and you kind of dismiss them here, dismiss them there, boom, boom, boom. Eventually, with lots of people that I know, as you're aware, you kind of get hit hard, boom, boom, a few times, and all of a sudden you change the essence of who you are, and what happens is you go back to who you really are, and that's your authentic self.
Yes.
And so once you become honest with who you are, and you wake up in the morning and you really, really are honest with whether it be your significant other, who's obviously yourself, your partner, your family and friends, your parents, your kids, anybody, you become honest and you live your true purpose. That's true happiness. And until you do that, you're always searching. You're always trying to find out who you are. And so, I was watching an old Oprah with Dr. Phil a couple of days ago about this woman that was shopping. And she shopped. And she said she was selfish because she was spending all her family's money. And then I was thinking to myself the whole time I was watching, wait a minute, you're not selfish, you're selfless. This woman had no idea who she was.
Right.
No idea. So she was searching, who am I? Maybe not only maybe this purse can make me happy, but it can give me some sort of identity. But when we look for external validation, through materialism, it doesn't mean anything. It's nothing. It all comes from within. It all comes from within. So, when you really connect with who you are, you don't really care anymore. You just live your life and you're on purpose. And for years, I always cared, and now I just don't, because I know that I'm living truth.
Yes, absolutely.
Does that make sense?
So much sense. And I have to say that I love that you pointed out that the significant other is yourself.
Yes.
We don't think in these terms. We're constantly seeking outside of ourselves to find that fulfillment, right? And you and I are both single people. Sorry, I shouldn't speak for you. You were talking about your divorce. I'm assuming you're single. I don't know, but I am a single person. And I know that for me, there was a massive shift in where I sat with that once I recognized that I had to put myself first. And I didn't, after I learned to love myself first and realize that I was my significant other, I stopped making excuses for not moving forward in life. I didn't feel lonely anymore. I started to date myself. So I buy myself flowers every week. I do the things that I would hope to have a partner do for me. I'm not waiting for that person. I'm doing it because I deserve it. I deserve it right now from me, And the other thing that I like about that is it sets the standard for who I'm looking for, And
I was just going to say that. I love it. I love it.
I think that a lot of people often get into relationships and settle because they're so afraid of being on their own, and it creates so much unhappiness and discord. And then the relationships fail and they go out in the world hurt and broken and create more damage, and it just becomes this cycle. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. I talk to my kids about that all the time. A lot of my children's friends' parents are very, very unhappy. And what happens is a lot of them think that they're doing justice to their families, to their children, to keeping that connection alive. First of all, there's no connection, number one. And number two, when your kids see you happy, when your kids really, really feel that you're happy 24/7, it doesn't matter if you're divorced, if you're single, if you're traveling, if you're this or that, they feel you. And and I wrote something about this a couple months ago on Facebook, or maybe 6 months ago. The reality is, we don't talk about this enough. Children want to see their parents happy. That is their main focus. I've always wanted to see my mom and dad happy. Even though I didn't express it because I was too young, I didn't know how. We want to see our parents happy. So the reality is if we are together with somebody because we feel A, we can't get better, or B, we want to be with them because of our children and we think it's wrong to separate, or C, because on paper, this is the person we need to be with. Right. All those reasons are based on fear. And I talk a lot about fear versus love, right? So love is what you alluded to in the beginning. We live the moment, we live our truth, abundance, gratitude,
Yes.
and we're living our journey, our purpose. And fear is, comparison, jealousy, lack of self-love, all that, thinking about the past, thinking about the future, not being in the moment. And yeah, most people are living in fear. So they're with
Absolutely.
somebody for the wrong reasons. It's
Yes.
so simple.
Yes. I just want to share a little bit because I think that this is really good to put out to our viewers when we're talking about parents and what they're offering their children. So I raised my kids on my own from the time that
Amazing.
they were 1.5 and 5.5. And I had a couple of failed relationships in there. But for the most part, I was on my own. And it was always heavy on my heart that I wasn't able to give my boys an example of what a healthy relationship looked like. And they both now have very positive, significant others in their lives. They're 22 and 26. And I was having dinner with my youngest boy a couple months back now, and him and his girlfriend were over, and I said to him, one of my sadnesses raising you kids is that I never had the opportunity to share with you what a positive, healthy relationship looked like. I said, but what I recognize today is that in my positive, healthy love for the two of you, you've learned how to be positive, healthy, and loving in your relationships. And now you are an example to me of what that looks like, which I
I love
think is
that.
brilliant, right? So, as parents, we get caught up in these things that really don't matter in what we think we should be giving our kids. We just need to love them as they are, where they are, and that's going to give them everything that they need, right?
I love that. Yeah, I was talking to actually a close friend this morning, and we talked about how simple it really is. Waking up in the morning, looking at our children, and just saying two things. Whatever you do, just say these two things and nothing else. I'm proud of you, and I love you. That's it.
Absolutely.
That's it. If 99% of parents that screwed up their kids only said that, imagine where we'd be today, right? I love you and I'm proud of you. That's it.
My son, my youngest boy again, he had this little friend in Calgary when we lived in Calgary. And I remember sitting with him when he was 16 years old. And my son at the time had decided that he didn't want to go into mechanical engineering. He wanted to go into film and communications. And, there was a lot of conversation about whether or not that decision would be disappointing to me. And I said, no, it's his life. He needs to do what is going to fulfill him, right? And a lot of other parents were like, oh, you can't make it in the film industry, yada, yada, yada. And my belief is that if you go into the industry that you're passionate about, if you're working there and you're happy, you've made it, And so anyways, we were having this conversation and Zach said to me, he goes, I wish more parents were supportive the way you are.
I love that.
This wasn't my child that said this to me, right? So that shows that there's a lot of kids out there that get a lot of pressure about who they're supposed to be instead of being allowed to be who they are meant to be.
You know what? I just thought of something. I know it's your show, but I think in the future we'll probably end up doing a live together on Facebook.
I would love that.
And I'd love to bring your children on because it seems like they've been inspired by your essence, the way you've raised them. I think it's beautiful. Just the way you're speaking. I think you have amazing kids that are very appreciative of you.
Well, we may have success with my younger boy, but my older boy is much more shy about this kind of stuff. He doesn't even like me putting pictures of him.
Gotcha.
But who knows? I mean, they mature every day, right? That may change. But I love that. So speaking of doing projects together, I mean, one of the things that I thought could be interesting with, the way that you think and, this platform and everything is maybe doing a course on online dating.
Love it.
Yeah, because, I really think it's messing up our society when it comes to love. It really is.
I would agree. Unless the intention is, I guess, how do you say it? If somebody's intentional and they're very honest about their intent, but many people are not. And yeah, I agree with you.
Well, I agree with you on that. I guess for me, what always comes up is you can't shop for love. I want to hear your thoughts around that.
You can't shop for love.
Yeah.
No, I like. Can you expand a little bit
Okay,
around
so
that?
I maybe I'm old fashioned. I mean, I'm, you know, I've lived a couple decades now, right? So things were different when I was younger. And I liked dating organically. You know, you go out, you meet somebody, you get that little butterfly, you exchange numbers, and you wait
I
for the
agree.
call, and all of that is very exciting to me. And that has been taken away from the online dating experience, right?
I agree. I agree 100%. I have a lot of people that I talk to that talk about, ghosting, and, somebody wants, an emotional relationship, another person's just looking for physical, and vice
Yeah.
versa. And, you go online, and it's very easy to swipe, and it's very easy to just, talk to a computer screen for I know people, I had a client who was talking to somebody for 5 months and didn't even meet them. And I explained to this individual, I said, listen, your intent is beautiful. You're a wonderful person, but let's look at the reality. The reality is you're texting yourself.
Yes,
You
exactly.
realize you're having a relationship with yourself,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, and that's what you alluded to earlier about your significant other, right? Relationships
Yeah.
are mirrors.
Yes.
The reality is within 2 or 3 days. I mean, you can read a lot of articles, you can read a lot of books, you can, see interviews. Professionals say this all the time. Within 2 or 3 days, you need to meet that person.
Yes.
Why are people waiting months and months and months? But everything you said about organically, I wrote about that as well, and I totally agree with you. It is nice to be at Safeway and meet somebody. It is nice to be at a party or a gathering at a barbecue, and a family friend says, look, I invited this individual. I think that you and her should have a coffee at the barbecue or a drink and get to know each other. Stuff like that I think is beautiful. And online dating has taken a bit of a turn. And, and another thing people don't talk about, a lot of people say they don't like it, but they're addicted to it.
Oh,
why are they addicted to it? For many reasons. But one of the main reasons they're addicted to it is because of what I alluded to earlier, the external validation.
Yes.
So we need attention. If we're not getting attention from ourselves, which is paramount, we're not getting attention from our children or our family members or our close friends, and we're lost, we go online. And we want to hear a compliment, or we want to hear something. We want to feel something. All of us want to feel something. So we use the online platform to feel something. And oftentimes it's not genuine, especially if you wait months to meet somebody that may not even exist.
Exactly.
Well, I got a little passionate there, didn't I?
Yeah, I like it though. But it's interesting to me because you're absolutely right. They're not getting validation at home, so they go online for it. But the interesting thing is that if they stayed present at home, they would get that validation because they have 100%. To be in the moment connecting with those around, right? I mean, even my kids, and I'm just as bad as them, but my kids, we spend a lot of time together. But like last night, we had a wonderful dinner, and then we're all sitting around afterwards, and we all have our phones out. Now, in fairness, I was the last one to pick up my phone, but we do. We all have our phones out, but we're sharing what we're finding with each other, and it's not like we're not having the conversations around it. But we shouldn't be having the phones out at all, But this is what our society has become. And, we question why we're not authentically connecting with others. And yet the answer is obvious right in front of us, but we never seem to address it. We just go, oh, I'm not getting that, so let's go back to our phone. Or, I need this, so let's go to our phone, right? I've actually turned my alert off my phone, so it doesn't constantly distract me now.
Yeah.
I intentionally pick it up when I need to, and I see if I've missed anything, but I turn my alert off.
That's very good.
Yeah.
Good for you for doing that.
Well, we got to do something, right? You have that little thing on your phone that says, your screen time has gone up. Your screen time has gone up, right? That's not how we need to be living. If anything, I think everything that we've been experiencing lately should be a strong indication that we need to get back to human interaction, human touch, human conversation. But I just want to say one more thing about the online dating, because I think that So online dating today has made it so that if you are in the grocery store, no one's going to approach you. People don't meet organically anymore because they know they can just go home and pick up an app. So they
That's
don't think
true.
about meeting in coffee shops or on in the
Yeah.
grocery store or in lineups or whatever.
That is true. And I actually had a conversation with a couple of women in the last 6 months. Two women said that they actually saw men. One was at a restaurant, one was at a grocery store. They thought about saying something to them, but they were too shy. They lacked the confidence, and they got too nervous, and they didn't. So
Right.
a lot of, I guess a lot of people want to approach and they don't. A lot of people want to be approached and they're not.
Right.
And this leads us back to exactly what we talked about in the beginning and prior to us going live, is about the authenticity, why we respect
Right.
one another. We're both
Right.
trying to be truthful and we're trying to be honest. Most people, when you think about it, they really, really, really don't get what that means. What that means is you live the moment and go, you know what? If I'm a single person and something about that individual strikes me, not just their look, but their energy, something about them, you know what? I want to pay a compliment to them, or I want to see if they want to have a coffee. Why not? You never know where it's going to lead. But sometimes we think too much. Oh, what is he or she going to think? How will other people think of me? And that's how I lived my life for many, many, many years until I realized, wait a minute, this is my life, right? Problem is really always self, and answer is
Yes.
spiritual. If problem is always self, I can create whatever life I want.
Exactly.
So
And isn't that so empowering?
it's amazing.
Yeah, I love it. I absolutely.
And for 40 years, I didn't know that.
I know, isn't that a shame? This is the stuff we should be teaching our children in school. Okay, so I have loved all of this. Now, I want to take a couple of minutes just to have you talk about what it is that you're offering other people. If they wanted to work with you, what does that look like?
Sure. So at the end of the day, in the last 5 years, I've worked with everybody from their marriage dissolving, from them lacking self-confidence, self-love, from them losing their business. During a divorce, they are going through a very, very difficult time, lots of emotions. Because I've been through it, and I got myself to a place where, how can I explain it? There's so much inner peace, and no matter what an individual across from me does or says, it doesn't impact me, because the connection I have between me and myself is so powerful, and the connection I have between myself and the universe is it's unbreakable.
Yeah.
That it doesn't really matter. And so it's all about, at the end of the day, it's all about our thoughts.
Yes.
And what we think about the world, what we think about ourselves, and how we put those thoughts together to create our life. So I help people, with their internal dialogue. That's first and foremost. And I help them realize that at the end of the day, we do not know where we came from. We have no idea where we're going. Who are you? What do you want? How would you like to live your life? And let's make it happen. And let's, for once and for all, stop blaming people, places, and things for where you are. Because at the end of the day, I created everything in my life. I had ups, I had downs.
Yes.
It wasn't because of my parents. It wasn't because of my kids. It wasn't because of my wonderful ex-wife. It wasn't because of anybody. It was because of me. And, some of us, as my mom likes to say, 70, 80, 90 years old, they still didn't get it. And they still don't until the day they pass away.
Yeah.
And it's about understanding that we create everything.
And
the law of attraction does exist.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I mean, I have stories and stories and stories that I can share, but I won't around all of that. I agree with that 100%. We are responsible and accountable for the life that we live. 100%. Right? And the first thing that I do always, if something is standing in my way, if I'm feeling blocked, the first thing I do always is check my thinking. What are my beliefs around this? What are my beliefs? Right?
Love it. To finish off for the next 20 seconds, a woman 2 weeks ago walked into my office. She had been seeing someone for 8 years that was married. And she was talking to me about moving on, and she didn't know how. I told her, when you feel like you deserve to be loved by yourself, you fall in love with yourself and truly, truly have unconditional love for yourself and know that you're incredible, despite what other people have either done or said to you. When you feel like you deserve, when you feel like you're 1 in 8 billion, when you see that your essence is genius, when you look in the mirror and say, I'm the most beautiful person in the world, then you're ready to move on. Until then, you're not going to move because you're living other people's lives.
Oh,
So that's just a bit of an example of how we started the conversation, because at the end of the day, she has to take accountability and responsibility for where she is, just like I had to,
yes.
just like you have to, we all do. So that's a bit about what I do.
I love that. I absolutely love that. So if somebody wanted to find you, where would they find you?
So I do have a website coming out in the next 2 weeks, week and a half. So
Yeah.
it is alexrzepa.com. It's
Yes.
my first and last name, alexrzepa.com. It's coming out. In the meantime, I'm on Facebook.
Yes.
Just under Alex Rzepa, and I will be doing quite a bit of Instagram and some Facebook ads for my website and for my coaching services. That will be coming out in the next couple of weeks as well.
Okay, awesome. And of course, people can connect with me, and I can help you out.
Absolutely, yeah. And
Okay.
at the end of the day, I heard Jay Shetty said something genius. I guess 2 weeks ago, I heard him say, at the end of the day, there are so many people out there that, do therapy, that coach, that counsel, that love connecting with others and want to do good. At the end of the day, what makes you successful is the connection, is the ability to connect with the person that you are trying to help. So, a lot of times people can connect with you or they may not.
Yes.
People may connect with me, or they find that, my way is a bit too honest, too direct, too, in your face. So at the end of the day, it's all about finding the right person that you connect with. Everything is connection. So you and I obviously connected.
Yes.
When we spoke on the phone a couple of weeks ago, your energy, your insight, your intellect, it's genius. And I'm really glad I'm speaking with you right now.
Thank you, Alex. I feel the same way about you. Now, before we end, though, I have to ask you my victory lap questions. So
anything. Yeah.
First thing I want to know is, as you know, my show is all about celebrating victories and, looking at different ways that we live our life to the fullest potential, right? As I said earlier, my purpose in life is to prepare the past for others. And I feel that Victory Lap is one example of doing that, right? It's showing people that I took a step forward into something that is becoming something. It's very cool to watch it evolve. And my purpose or my mission here is to show other people, through having real talk with people like yourselves, that we can live a fulfilled life and we can inspire others to live a fulfilled life by making little tweaks in the way that we think and do things, right? So one of the things that I always say is I want to help others maximize their cruise control. That time in life where things are going really good, we don't feel like we're out of our comfort zone at all. We're just kind of moving along, but we can still make the most out of that. So can you share with the viewers some of the ways that you maximize your comfort zone?
I always take myself to another level with gratitude.
Yes.
So let's say on a Saturday afternoon, I'll go for a swim. I like to swim daily. Let's say I'll go for a swim and then I'll meet a friend at a coffee shop. When I feel this calmness, this inner peace, and I start writing down the things that I want to accomplish during the week, I think about all the things that I have. And at the end of the day, what really inspires me are my 3 daughters. That's what really gets me going, because I know that I had them for a reason. We became best friends for a reason. All that is for a reason, and I think I understand why. And that's because at the end of the day, there's so many parents out there that don't connect, don't know how to connect, haven't connected, and are dying inside to connect with their children, and they don't know how. Yes. So at the end of the day, I mean, my kids are everything to me. So to me, speaking of wins, every morning I wake up and I think of them, I feel so alive. I feel incredible.
I can
I
feel
just,
your heart for your girls.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's very
Okay.
cool. I probably didn't answer the question, but
Well, you
I
did
just had,
because you said
I
that
just felt
really what maximizes your comfort zone is just living in gratitude, and I love that.
24/7,
This is where I live, and I just, for me, gratitude changed my life, and I have talked about that. And I'm sure I'll talk about it more, but gratitude changed my life, understanding the concept of gratitude. So the second question I have for you is, all of us, it doesn't matter where we are in life, what level we're at, there's growth zones that we hit, these pit stops, we blow a tire on the road of life, and all of a sudden we're finding ourselves being impeded when we're not expecting it, right? I know for myself, the way that I handle that today is very different than the way I used to. And I just want you to give some insight to the viewers of how you handle those unexpected growth zones that we get into.
Well, you actually stopped for about 20 seconds, so I didn't hear.
Oh, shit.
You got cut off for about 20 seconds.
Okay. Just wondering how you maximize your growth zones these days. Those unexpected occurrences. How do you get out of them as quick as possible?
That's an excellent question, and a mentor friend of mine talked to me about this a few months ago, and it's interesting. His sister-in-law passed away about a year and a half, 2 years ago. One morning we were together, and he felt it for when it was a year, he felt it for 2 or 3 minutes, and he told me, he says how important it was for him to feel it, understand it, accept the pain, but then come out of it right away.
Yes.
So he was talking to me about, in life, a lot of people stay in what they call a depression, even though I don't really believe a depression really exists, but we can talk about that in a different live. It's really about, coming out of that state of fear, which is anxiety and overthinking and procrastination and just not feeling aware, and coming out of that and getting back into love, which is, you know what? I am, and going back to gratitude, I am, a piece of the divine. Yes. I know this sounds very, very spiritual, a little cliche, but the reality is I am a piece of the divine. So whatever is happening to me right now, let's say I get the worst news of my life in the next 2 minutes, which I won't, but let's say suppose I did. You have to tell yourself that things are happening for a reason, and they're happening for you. Yes. So it's really about understanding that we are, a tiny soul in this enormous universe, and it's about understanding that things are happening for us and because of us, and there is a lesson here. So you can go, oh my gosh, what do I do? What do I do now? Or you can say, wait a minute, there is an opportunity. I have to ask what I should be doing. I have to journal. A lot of people don't journal enough. I have to journal what's going on, my emotions, my thoughts and feelings. And then you tell yourself, this is going to be the greatest moment of my life. This is going to be the greatest day of my life. This is going to be the greatest opportunity of my life with what has been presented. Even if you think of it as negative, you have to switch it and think of it as positive right away.
Yes.
And it's up to us. And that's where the internal dialogue comes in.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I can tell you, some of the worst things that happened to me have been the best things that happened to me.
Yeah.
100%. Okay, so last question, and let's make this really fun. What is the craziest way that you celebrate a victory?
The craziest way I've celebrated victory? The craziest
you can talk
way
about live.
The craziest way I celebrated victory. I can give you a couple of ways.
Okay.
I'm very, very close with my mother and my sister, so I'll either call my mother to tell her how much she means to me and what I learned from her, or I'll call my sister in Victoria to just dialogue with her. Yeah. But at the end of the day, what I really, really do is I listen to my music, and I get really, really, really into I like R&B music.
Yes, me too.
Yeah, like I listen to Jodeci, Keith Sweat, Chris Brown, R. Kelly, like R&B. And I get into my music. I go for walks, and I
Mm,
really connect with the music. So whatever happens in my life that is amazing, I always, I love to be alone. I like
mhm.
my own company.
Yes.
So I rejoice in my music. I'm sorry that's not fun,
No, it
but
is
that's
fun. For
I'm
me, it is
just
fun
trying to
because
be as
I get
honest as
it.
I can
Yeah.
be.
Yeah. I mean, my music for me alters my state all the time too. If I'm
Yeah,
not in a
yeah.
positive state, I put music on and it alters. I'm a big music fan as well. So I get it. So Alex, I gotta say we ran over a little bit, but that's okay. I've really enjoyed this. So
That was good.
yeah, and we definitely need to collaborate in the future for sure. So we'll talk
Absolutely.
about that. But I just wanted to say thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show today. I really appreciate you being here, and I'm sure my audience has as well.
And I'm glad I was, and I appreciate your time as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you
Have
so
a great
much.
rest of your day.
Bye
So,
bye.
bye. Ciao. Bye. Wow, that was such a great interview. I was so happy to have Alex on the show. I love his wisdoms and his insights. As you can see, we're on point in a lot of different ways, so that was really cool for me. And it looks like we might even have a little collaboration coming up. So make sure you tune in for that because that could be really cool as well. So I guess I'll wrap this up. But if you wanted to see more episodes of Victory Lap and my little pace lap perspectives, you can always visit my website at www.victorylap.ca. And if you're interested in learning more about me and what I'm up to, you can check out my other website at www.stephanienielsen.ca. You can always follow me on Facebook and Insta as well at stephanienielsen.ca. So I guess that's it for today. Thanks so much for watching. Until the next lap. Ciao, ciao. I just put together my new website. No. Wow, that was really awesome. I absolutely loved that interview. And as you can see, Alex and I, well, we're kind of on point on a few different areas there. So that was really neat for me. And it looks like there might even be a collaboration between us in the future. So you guys need to stay tuned for that. I'm sure we'll come up with something pretty cool. Well, I guess that wraps up this episode of Victory Lap. Again, I'm so glad that you were all here. If you want to see more episodes, you can check out my new website at it's not you yet. Wow, that was absolutely amazing. What a cool guy. I am so happy that Alex was here and shared his wisdoms with us. It was really neat to see all the different ways that we were on point. And looks like there might even be a little collaboration in the future. So make sure you tune in for that, because that could be pretty awesome too. Well, I guess that wraps up this episode of Victory Lap. And if you want to see more episodes, you can check out my website at www.victorylap.ca. And if you're interested in learning more about me and what I'm up to, you can check out my other website at www.stephanienielsen.ca, or you can follow me on both Insta and Facebook at stephanienielsen.ca. I like to keep it simple. So anyways, that's it for today. Thank you again for watching. What a great episode. So until the next lap, ciao, ciao. Wow, that was so amazing. What a great interview. It was so fun to have Alex on the show. I love the way he thinks and his wisdoms and insights. We are definitely... Wow, that was such a great interview. I was so happy to have Alex on the show. I love his wisdoms and his insights. As you can see, we're on point in a lot of different ways. So that was really cool for me. And it looks like we might even have a little collaboration coming up. So make sure you tune in for that, because that could be really cool as well. So I guess I'll wrap this up. But if you wanted to see more episodes of Victory Lap and my little pace lap perspectives, you can always visit my website at www.victorylap.ca. And if you're interested in learning more about me and what I'm up to, you can check out my other website at www.stephanienielsen.ca. You can always follow me on Facebook and Insta as well at stephanienielsen.ca. So I guess that's it for today. Thanks so much for watching. Until the next lap. Ciao, ciao. Hello, welcome to another episode of Victory Lap. My name is Stephanie Nielsen, and I am your host of the show. And I want to start by saying thank you so much for being here with me today. I would imagine that you're watching because, like me, you are a learner and you like to learn and grow. So let's do that. Growing up, my Nana had a favorite quote, and it was, "To thy own self be true, and it must follow as night as day." Hi there, Stephanie here. Hi there, welcome to another episode of Victory Lap. I am your host, Stephanie Nielsen, and I just want to say thank you so much for being here with me today. I would imagine that you're here because, like me, you are a learner and you like to learn and grow. So let's do that today. Hi there, Stephanie here. No. Hi there, welcome to another episode of Victory Lap. I am your host, Stephanie Nielsen, and I just want to start by thanking you very much for joining us today. I would imagine that you're here because, like me, you like to learn and grow. And I'm telling you what, today's guest is definitely going to help us do that. So let's get going. Growing up, my Nana's favorite quote was, "To thy own self be true, and it must follow, as the night the day, thou canst be false to any man." That was something that Shakespeare said. And you know what? I love this quote. I believe for a very long time that everything starts with you. And that if you're not honest in who you are with yourself and with others, you'll never live your best life. And to be honest, you're not being fair to those who you invite into your world. Today's guest shares my views around this quote, and I'm so happy that he's agreed to spend time with us today. Born in Rio de Janeiro, spending his childhood in California, moving to North Vancouver as a teenager, taking a voyage to Israel when he was in his 20s, and then landing in Calgary, he knows first that no matter where you go or what you do, you always take yourself with you. So let's welcome to the show personal trainer and professional coach Alex Rzepa to talk about why connecting with ourselves needs to be our number one priority. Hello, welcome to another episode of Victory Lab. I am your host, Stephanie Nielsen, and I just want to start by saying thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm really glad that you're here. I would imagine that, like me, you like to learn and grow, and that's why you're watching our show. And I am really excited to tell you that today's guest is all about that. So we are going to have a lot to talk about. You know, growing up, my Nana's favorite quote was one by Shakespeare. And he said, "To thy own self be true, and it must follow, as the night, the day. Thou cannot be false to any other man." You know, I love this quote. And I believe for a very long time that everything starts with you. And that if you're not honest in who you are with yourself and with others, you'll never live your best life. And you know what? You're also being unfair to those that you invite into your world. Today's guest shares my views around this quote, and I am so happy that he's agreed to join us today. Born in Rio de Janeiro, spending his childhood in California, moving to North Vancouver as a teenager, and taking a voyage to Israel for 2 years before moving to Calgary, he knows first that no matter where you go or what you do, you always take yourself with you. So let's welcome to the show professional coach and trainer Alex Rzepa. And we're going to talk about why connecting with ourselves first needs to be our number one priority. So let's do that. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Victory Lab. I am your host, Stephanie Nielsen, and I am so happy that you're here with me today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I would imagine that, like me, you like to learn and grow, and that's why you're watching the show. And I'll tell you what, so does today's guest. So today's show is going to be amazing. You know, growing up, one of my Nana's favorite quotes was, "To thy own self be true, and it must follow, as the night the day, thou cannot be false to any other man." That was a quote by Shakespeare, and I absolutely love it. I believe for a very long time that everything starts with you, that you need to be honest in who you are with yourself and with others in order to live your best life. And you know what? When you're not, you're also being unfair to those that you invite into your world. I remember for a long time that I would say something and then I would check myself and go, is that my truth? You know, just to make sure that I was being honest with myself first so that I could be honest with others. Well, today's guest shares my views around this quote, and I am so happy that he's agreed to join us on the show. Born in Rio de Janeiro, spending his childhood in California, moving to North Vancouver as a teenager, and then taking a voyage to Israel before he moved to Calgary, he knows first and foremost that no matter where you go or what you do, you always take yourself with you. So let's welcome to the show professional coach and trainer Alex Rzepa. And we're going to talk about why connecting with ourselves first needs to be our number one priority. So yay, Alex, thank you.